Stormweaver has seen many nerfs since the start of PoE 2. You used to be able to do things like one-shot pinnacle bosses with a full party scale. What about now? Well... Yup, nuking is still on the table. Let's go over the core build and rotation. For skills, we use Spark, Arc, Frost Bomb, Lightning Conduit, Ball Lightning, Mana Tempest, Elemental Weakness, and Lightning Warp. None of the spirit skills are game-changing for this build, so you can use whichever. I've been messing around with Elemental Conflux for the memes. For more information on recommended supports, check out the written guide in the description. In order to reach nuclear levels of damage, there are three main vectors: raw damage stats, buffs, and debuffs. Debuffs are the keystone of this build, so let's dive into them first. The most important debuff is Shock, with which Lightning Conduit scales damage with, on top of its innate damage amplification effect. With Stormweaver's Strike Twice passive, we get to double dip on it at the cost of less magnitude. However, with the right gear and build, you can still reach the shock cap of 100%, resulting in a 3 times damage multiplier or a 30 times multiplier in the case of Conduit. Sources of shock magnitude include passive tree nodes, jewels, glove runes, and the overcharge support gem, which is very dangerous and should only be used on bosses, ideally alongside a grounding charm. Arc grants 50% more shock magnitude, which we will always be using to apply shock before our burst. Exposure, while reduced by half on bosses, is still very powerful. It is possible to hit over 70% exposure on bosses when stacking all exposure-related modifiers. We apply this with Frost Bomb, which ramps up the exposure amount to a crazy 60% base after quality. You can further increase exposure from passive tree nodes, helmet runes, and the potent exposure support. For buffs, the main items of interest are Sigil of Power, Lightning Archon, and Mana Tempest. Sigil of Power is from a Chiming staff, which you should use as your offhand of choice. Make sure to get one with cast speed and spell level, as the spell levels will increase the power of the sigil. We'll be assigning all Archon-related passives to our secondary weapon set, so you will be proccing it on demand when you set up your buffs. Let's quickly peek at the passive tree. For our Ascendancy Tree, the Arcane Surge branch is nice, with 20% mana before life as a bonus on top of permanent Arcane Surge. Strike Twice is a keystone of this build, but won't be needed in early leveling until you actually get Conduit. The last 2 points can either be put into Retracted Infusion, which will give you Fire and Ice infusions to help with extra ad clearing power in Ball Lightning and Spark, or Elemental Storm, which also is useful in mob dense content and additional boss DPS. Now onto the main tree. The starting pathing is fairly generic towards the damage route, grabbing the Remnant branch. 2 points can be allocated towards Open Mind on the primary weapon set here. A bit further up is a cluster with many decent nodes in it, most of which are taken exclusively for a shock magnitude time loss jewel. This needs to be a large radius to hit all the relevant nodes. When not running a time loss, the only real important thing to get here is the left branch on this infusion tree, as well as the Stormbreaker and Overexposure node. Grab one extra small node for exposure effect on weapon slot 2 while you're here. The lightning branch on the right is the next interest. The middle branch has good generic value, and Drenched will help you land a little bit of chill, which will buff various traits. Grab Master of Hexes here on your secondary weapon set for more debuff power. Up above, spec into the lightning tree on your primary weapon set, and Archon on your secondary weapon set. Do not take Embodiment of Lightning here, as this effect does not persist when you swap back to your normal set. Grab the jewel sockets on the left and right, and all the Archon buff passives on the second weapon set. While Invigorating Archon will carry over, it's not necessary and should not be taken due to point limitations. All three notables in this triangle are worth taking, granting generic damage, ailment magnitude, and a bit of free resist. Finally, go back towards the start and make a short detour to the side, grabbing the exposure nodes on weapon set 2 and the mana nodes on weapon set 1. Alternating current is the main reason we're here, but you might as well grab the notables up above, which give 30% damage when applying chill and shock, which should be happening naturally with this build. And this is the core, requiring level 82. From here, you can opt for utility, defense, or just more damage. And note that these following suggestions are not an exhaustive list. Good defensive options include mana before life passives such as Mental Perseverance and Lucidity, or energy shield options like Enhanced Barrier. Utility options include Touch the Arcane and Conservative Casting. And finally, for more damage, consider Turn the Clock Forward, Moment of Truth, and Essence of the Storm. The Electric Amplification branch up above is useful for generic mapping as well, as you won't be debuffing most trash mobs. Let's now look into the rotation. Make sure Arc, Spark, and Lightning Conduit are set to only be cast with weapon set 1, Frost Bomb to only be cast with weapon set 2, and everything else should be usable on both sets. For bursting bosses, start off with Sigil of Power, then use Ball Lightning into Lightning Warp. Put down Elemental Weakness twice, Man of Hot, and Frost Bomb. Next, Mana Tempest, Arc, and then Lightning Conduit. Mana Tempest can optionally be used after Arc if running Zenith on Conduit or if running low on mana. When bosses have a wake-up time, feel free to repeatedly use Lightning Warp in order to stack up Sigil of Power. For mapping, the general mob clear strategy revolves around using Ball Lightning into Lightning Warp, followed by Arc. If running Retracted Infusion, you can optionally use Spark whenever you have a cold infusion. The standard verse rotation can be overkill for some bosses or rare mobs. For this reason, I recommend Duelling Wand as a wand base. Socket a second copy of Lightning Conduit into it, and this will give you an on-demand, instant cast conduit that is more than enough to erase any rare monster or map boss as long as you land the shock. And that's it for the build. The main caveat is that you'll literally be made of toilet paper, but at least you one-shot bosses, and that's really cool. Check out the text guide in the description for more information on themes such as the part gem recommendations and build progression, etc. See you guys next time. Bye bye!